Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my channel. This video is the latest video in my series of how historically accurate are they, taking a look at all of the various American Girl outfits and seeing if they actually are historically accurate or not. So far in this series, there has been a video on Felicity and Elizabeth, a video on Caroline and Josefina, a video on our 1850s girls, as in Kirsten, Murray, Grace, and Cecile, and a video on Addie. So naturally, that means in our historical line of succession, we have come up to Samantha and also her best friend slash sister, Nellie. So if you are not aware of American Girls, they are a wonderful line of historical dolls that actually have a lot of research put into them, or at least originally there was a lot of research put into them. And as you will see from this video, spoiler alert, as things came out more recently, less research was put into those items. So that's your spoiler for this video. And I'm actually decided to go in chronological order for this video of when these outfits were released. So Samantha was first released in 1986 and her story primarily takes place in 1904. So we're talking about the Edwardian era, or at least that's what it was called in England. Samantha is an upper class girl whose story takes place in New York City and upstate New York, and therefore her fashions, unlike a lot of the other girls that we see in the American Girls line, would have been a lot more up to date, and she would have had a lot more of them than, say, like Kirsten, for example. So in this video, I am going to be comparing Samantha's fashions with a lot of photographs, fashion plates, and advertisements from 1904 and kind of the surrounding years, just so that we can see how historically accurate they were. So I'll be popping a lot of those up on screen, and all of those are also in my Pinterest board, which I will link down below in the description. So let's go ahead and get started. Right here, we have Samantha in her meet outfit. So this is how she came when she was sold, though the accessories like the hat were additional. This is actually a 1987 Samantha in her 1987 dress. And this dress, I hate to start off with something that's not that great, but honestly, this dress is not very historically accurate. I know. So certain elements that we're looking at here in this dress, we have the dropped waist, we have a really very plain dress in a nice little sort of check pattern, and it's got this pleated front. Now, a pleated front was actually something that you do see on some various dresses from this era, but dresses for children of this era, particularly children who had money, which her grandmarried certainly does, they were over the top. They were frills, furbelows, lots of tucks, lots of lace. You wouldn't have seen an upper class girl in this sort of ensemble. And also, frankly, this sort of like very flat front drop waist, this isn't something that you really see. The silhouette that we're going to see the most of, that's the most historically accurate, is really kind of a puffy front with a just slightly dropped waist, but not something that's kind of down around the hips like this. So I love this outfit, but unfortunately not the most historically accurate. Things that are more accurate, however, are the sleeve that has a bit of fullness to it, that has gathering going into the arm side. That's very accurate down into the cuff. A high collar was almost across the board universal. You see it in literally almost every single outfit from this year. They should all either have high standing collars or at least come up to like the very base of your neckline. They really wouldn't have had collars any lower than that. She also comes with bloomers and some black tights and black little plasticky Mary Janes. They wouldn't have worn tights then, they wore stockings. And the bloomers are okay. I mean, they wouldn't have been like elasticized bottoms on their bloomers. And then Mary Janes are okay, but honestly, boots would have been more popular. The hat is not bad, but frankly, it probably would have been larger and a lot more elaborately decorated. So that's our meet outfit. Let's move on to our next outfit. Next up, we have Addie dressed in the school outfit. Now, where I was talking before about outfits being very overly decorated, that wouldn't have been so much the case in a school uniform. However, one thing that we almost certainly would have seen over this was actually some sort of pinafore apron, which we'll see later in this play dress. This was very, very common for a school type uniform, and really no matter what class you were for a young girl going to school, you probably would have had a pinafore as part of your uniform. That said, this is a reasonable dress. We again have our full sleeves, our high collar, nice little bow detail, and I like the button front detail here as well. So for a school uniform, the plainness is okay. And we also have, of course, our huge hair bow, which was a very popular element of this period. Next up is the Christmas dress that Kirsten is wearing. Again, we have our huge hair bow, that's great. We have a really nice lace yoke collar here. Now, more popularly speaking, I feel like it would have actually been a yoke as opposed to an applied trim, though this sort of ruffle on the sleeve, very, very popular, so that's great. This one, we have a waist that's a little bit more where it is meant to be, but I wish we had more fullness in the bodice itself. Like if we had brought in those pleats or tucks or gathering, that would have made this more accurate, and also just more lace. Definitely for a Christmas dress, dressing up for a special occasion, this would have been a lot more than we see here. Next up is Caroline in Samantha's birthday outfit. Now, this is a very cute outfit, and something that we actually see a lot in this era is a relatively short hemline. And so although this does look very short, it's honestly not that far out of possibility. That said, something that is my pet peeve in a lot of Samantha's earlier outfits are these socks. So I did talk earlier about how tights, like ones that actually go up to your waist, really aren't something that you would have seen in this era. But knee socks, that's something that was reserved for like toddler age, like really, really little kids. Samantha would have outgrown them by now. She would have been wearing like a thigh high, or at least, you know, over the knee stocking. You wouldn't have seen that gap between the dress and the stocking. Again, that was reserved for really, really small children. This has a lovely pinafore. I do think that it's a little bit more fitted of a style than probably would have been the most common for this era. Again, we'll see a lot of this pinafore here, which I'll show you later as we get there. But we do have a lot of nice lace being used on here, which lace was so popular in this era. And the dress itself, though, other than the lace and the full sleeves, it's very plain. We're really looking at it through the pinafore, like as part of the dress, which I don't mind. We have our high collar. We have a sleeve that comes down to below the elbow, which if you're going for a shorter sleeve, that would have actually been the more accurate length. Though we do see longer sleeves, generally speaking, as a lot more popular than shorter. The little hair decoration here, I don't feel like that would have been the most popular. I feel like she would have had a really, really large hair bow instead, or a really nice hat, especially because I believe her party was held outside. And so when you're going outside, you would have seen a lot of hats on children. I'm going to come back around to the outerwear at the end, so we will talk about her cloak later because I don't have enough dolls in my collection to display all of Samantha's items. So there's a few items that I will have to change the dolls into, like the outerwear. And so other than that winter cloak, the last of our original storybook covers, as in the outfits that came out in 1986 through 88, is the midi dress, which if you have been following my channel for a year and a half or so, you will know this dress very well because I made myself a cosplay of this dress. So this midi dress is actually pretty great, honestly. Like, this is the first one where I feel like we are almost spot on. Most likely she would have had a tie around the neck. That's probably the biggest difference here. Midi dresses usually had a tie. Midi dresses themselves were extremely popular, and you see them not only for like use at the seashore, but honestly just incorporated into a regular daily part of a girl's wardrobe. They were so, so popular. The tam, maybe not as much. Again, a large hair bow or like a sun hat would have been more appropriate than a tam. This feels a little bit more on the costumey side, to be honest. And we do have a nice pleated skirt here, a fairly full bodice, even though we don't have pleating in it. The one thing here is that I do feel like our waist should have been just a little bit higher because the waist of this era would have been a little more like that if you can see there. So just a little bit higher and a little bit more fullness in the bodice. We also have our wonderful button boots on here. These are fantastic, spot on, frankly. Great boots with the functional buttons up the side, the spectator toe and heel. Those are just spot on. So really, of our outfits that we've looked at so far, this is the best. I don't have these on anyone at the moment, but I did just want to show you two other items, which is we've got the lacy whites. So this is the undergarment set that you could buy for Samantha. I love the fact that it has these attached garters so that her long stockings that came with this, which those are thigh-high stockings, they could be hooked into the garters, which I think is a fantastic detail. And then we also have a little petticoat skirt, which definitely would have been worn with everything. Same with the little camisole, and the camisole and petticoat skirt buttoned together. So I think this is beautiful. I love the lace detailing on it. It has wonderful pin tucks and lace down at the bottom. I think that this is a fantastic detail and honestly very historically accurate for a girl of this era. I know I don't normally talk about night clothes, and frankly I don't really know the historical accuracy, but just because I'm somewhat of a completionist for these videos and I happen to have these pieces, we have, they call it the kimono robe. It's kind of a silky robe, and then a little nightgown with a lot of lace detail. This seems really quite appropriate for everything that we have for Samantha's era, so I do quite like her night clothes. Now we're going to be getting into the outfits that started to come out after her original story cover outfits. So this is the play dress that Molly is wearing, and frankly, I love this outfit. It is kind of ridiculous, but in the best sort of way. This honestly would have been just right for a school uniform of this era. We have this wonderful pinafore that has a super, super high yoked neckline, and then it just has fullness coming down from there. That was incredibly popular with our little ruffles, little pocket detail on there. That was the more normal shape of a pinafore from this era. And then we also have the rather plain dress, but that would have made sense for a school uniform. And I have to show you this dress because it's fantastic in its ridiculousness. So this is the waistline that I have been talking about this whole time. We have a waist that is just slightly dropped below the natural waist. This one is done with elastic, which would not have been normal, but she's a doll. And then we have all of this fullness in the stomach area. Do you see how full that is? And I love her yoked collar. Yoked collars were so popular in this era, so that is spot on. High neckline, little cuff with the full sleeve. This frankly is pretty perfect for like a really basic outfit, kind of like a school uniform, or this is her play outfit. This is something she's gonna go and get dirty. The one caveat with that is we have really short socks with this outfit that very much expose her knees. So her stockings definitely would have been taller. And then we have our lovely big hair bow. So yeah, this is a fantastic outfit, pretty much spot on. They were clearly doing their research in this era because 1 year later they came out with her tea outfit. Again, we have our just slightly dropped waist, this time with a ribbon detail, which is even more accurate. We have just the poofiest bodice here. I hope you can see just how ridiculously poofy that is. It's so spot on accurate. I love it, even though it looks ridiculous. Now, I don't know how common it would have been for the collar decoration to actually be a separate piece, which is what we see on here, but the collar decoration itself, this is spot on. I mean, like, look at this right here. Look at this. They're the same dress. Like, I love that this is so accurate. Though this one did come with the short socks again, so that is the one caveat, but everything else, like the level of detail in the lace with a little pink trim and rosettes, lace around the neckline, lace and pink around the cuffs, lace around the hem, like here's where we're getting into more detail. And this honestly would have been fairly basic for the level of detail in a girl's dress in this era. They went so over the top for this era, but I think that this is a pretty fantastic outfit. Next up, in 1997, they came out with her bathing outfit. I love this outfit because, of course, bathing suits of this era are both unusual and iconic at the same time. And I feel like it's a really nice opportunity for children to see what people used to go to the seashore to go swimming in 1904. So this outfit has a skirt that snaps, I mean it would have buttoned, over a one-piece sort of bloomer looking onesie outfit. And really this outfit is pretty spot on for what a girl would have worn as a bathing suit of this era. We even have little slippers to match. We have stockings, which is what she would have worn with them, and they would have gone up thigh high underneath the bathing pants part of the outfit. We've got a nice straw hat that goes with this. This is really very spot on for a bathing suit. This dress right here is meant to be her skating outfit. Now this comes from a short story where I think they were having like a party, and so I don't think this dress is actually meant to go ice skating in. It was just a party that then there was also ice skating involved. So this is not functional and practical to go ice skating in any way. It's a very lightweight, almost a little bit creped material here with like satin on the inside. And it's a weird outfit because first off, I don't think this dress is flattering on literally any doll. Secondly, we do see outfits like this, like you can see right here. However, this is from a couple of years later. So really, I think that this came in a little later in the 1900s. You don't see too much of this super, super boxy look in 1904. Although the decoration itself does seem pretty appropriate. Like this has very fine lace actually around that sort of yoke-shaped collar. Again, lace around the hem and the cuffs. And we've got a little bit too much of a dropped waist on this. This is frankly a little too hip low, and especially in the back, the bow drops very, very low. Now, that said, this dress is also a little bit large on Courtney, so that doesn't help. But even on the dolls that were larger, the newer dolls tend to be a little smaller than the older dolls. Even on the older dolls, this is still just very boxy and too drop-waisted to be accurate for 1904. Now the skates themselves, I believe, are accurate. I don't know how well you'll be able to see these, but they actually strap on over boots. So they have functional buckles for the closure, and they are actually metal on the bottom of the skates as well. So I do like that detail. Though again, I don't think she would have worn them together with this dress. Okay, are you ready for some perfection? Because we've got my favorite Samantha outfit up. And that is Samantha's talent show outfit. I freaking love this outfit. This came out in 2003, and I believe it came out in conjunction with the movie. I know that this is a costume that is in the movie, and it's basically perfect. Like, this could be a doll dress that they made in 1904, other than the Velcro closure in the back, of course. It's so good. Like, just take a moment to look at the details here. And now look at the various dresses that I'm going to put up on the side here that are basically this exact dress. So we have our wonderful yoke neck with the wide shoulders with the extra lace detail, extra ruffles, high collar, just slightly dropped waist with the nice fullness in the front of the bodice, and then the ribbon going around the waist. This is kind of, I think, meant to be like a do peony or a shantung, which that they probably would not have used in this era. We've got our lace at the cuffs. I mean, this is, it's honestly, it's perfect. This is exactly what a girl would have worn in this era, and I love it. Now, this is an outfit that I feel like should have been so good because honestly, it's got so many elements that are so beautifully detailed. And this is her lawn party outfit. It is absolutely stunning. Love the hat. Love all of the lace detail everywhere, insertion lace, etc. It's really fantastic. But unfortunately, it's just a little bit off year-wise. Frankly, like the white dress style with the lace and everything, that was popular for a really long time. But the fact that we have her waist so high up here with really quite a fitted bodice, I mean, we have gathers in it, but it is fitted to her. It is not poofy in any way. Unfortunately, that is not what she would have worn in 1904 or even like 1905. Really, this is something that you would see more of a little later, like even as late as 1909 or so. And so it's unfortunate because it's dead on accurate for later in the 1900s. But it's just not accurate for Samantha, unfortunately, even though I love the attention to detail that they put in this outfit. I think that this is the level of decoration that we should have seen in like almost all of the rest of her collection. This amount of insertion lace and ruffles and like little ribbon detail here. The hat is just darling too, this little like poof style hat. It's a fantastic outfit. It's just not 1904. This one, though plainer, is actually a little closer to 1904. This is the spring party dress that Melody is wearing. And again, we have that just slightly dropped waist here with the band around the waist. The collar is not quite right because I just feel like it's a little too plain and a little too like V'd in the front and not wide enough at the shoulders, but it's close. I really like the pleated detail down the front of the bodice, and we do get like a little bit of fullness, but ideally it should have had more. And then we have the full sleeves, and we do have an inset right in here to bring this collar to the base of the neckline, so I think that that works very well. And I also really like the cotton print. It just has a very, very subtle floral print. I hope you can see that. And it's actually got a striped background as well that is almost impossible to see unless you have light behind it. This also has a wonderful use of piping, which we don't get to see a lot. And frankly, I don't know how popular piping was really in this era. That was something that you see a lot earlier, but we have piping, light pink piping pretty much everywhere. This outfit does have a peculiar thing that has happened to it over time, where on most of the ones that you see out there for sale, the collar and the belt have actually faded to like a brownish color. I think it's because of whatever they used for the piping, or maybe like a stabilizer interfacing something in there, but it is meant to be just sort of this off-white color with the light pink piping. So since we have now hit outfits that came out in 2004, that means it is actually also time for the release of a new doll in Samantha's world. And that is her adopted sister, Nellie. So Nellie was actually a servant girl that had come to work for the next door neighbors of Samantha's family. And Nellie and her sisters actually wound up getting adopted along with Samantha by Samantha's Uncle Guard. Samantha had previously been living with her grandmother, Grandmary. So this is Nellie's meet outfit. The sash, I think, is obscuring a little bit the fact that this is the accurate waistline where we have just that little bit of a drop with the puff up here. I probably tied the sash a little too tightly since it is one that you actually tie. And of course, we're also dealing with the stand coming around her waist here, but it is that accurate waist. However, you might notice something about this neckline that is a little issue. Yeah, it doesn't come up to her neck. So that is my main problem with this outfit. This would have been filled in with a yoke and would have come up to her neckline in this era. Just like hands down, we did not see skin here. It was not something that happened. It's really unfortunate because otherwise this dress is fantastic. I love the ruffle detail here. I love that we actually have 2 layers of fabric. So I don't know what color it's reading to you guys, but to me in person, this reads as almost a hint of blue under white. And that is because we have blue under white, which I think is a fantastic detail. And again, we have the fullness, the slightly dropped waist, the cute sash. We do have a kind of a funky hat that I don't feel like we would have had a hat made out of this mesh. This to me is like church lady hat, not Edwardian hat. But it is nice that they gave her a hat at all. And then she also came with white tights and those same black plasticky shoes. So again, stockings instead of tights. She's wearing the same sort of bloomers as Samantha has as well. But I love the Nellie doll. Personally, I think she's one of the cutest dolls out there. But I just wish that her neckline had been filled in with this outfit. Next up is Felicity wearing Nellie's Christmas dress. And this one is not super accurate. I mean, we do have the high neckline. That's nice. We have kind of a yoke thing going on, but it's just not quite right. I think they were going for sort of a like faux jumper dress look maybe, but that's something that we really see later come in. It's not something that we saw much in 1904. And especially because we actually have like a button detail here with tucks and stuff, it just seems like she's wearing a button-up shirt under a fake jumper, so it doesn't quite work. That said, I love the fabric. First off, this is taffeta, which taffeta is always great, but I do love the way that it's like holding the pleats. I love the plaid. I love the use of the velvet. We have velvet both as the sash and also even as the piping, which is really nice, and a little velvet bow for her hair, though it would have been so much larger than this bow. And she also has fun little buckled shoes that came with it, or faux buckle shoes, that really, they look exactly like Felicity's shoes, except that they're patent leather. I don't know how accurate they would have been, but they're a cute detail just to have something a little bit different than what you see in Samantha's collection, which is all basically Mary Jane's or boots. But yeah, it's a very cute dress. I just don't think we're really looking at something that's that historically accurate. However, Nellie is redeemed quite a bit by her spring dress, which is my favorite Nellie outfit. Now, this is Rebecca, and this hat, by the way, does not actually go with this outfit. This was a hat that came out later for Samantha in the Be Forever era, which we will get to, and I think was meant to be worn with her meat dress, which is the worst dress in the history of all Samantha dresses. I do not own that dress. I might talk about it briefly. It's awful. This dress, on the other hand, is not awful. It is the opposite of awful. The one qualm that I'd say that I have with this dress is that her waist is sitting right at her natural waist instead of just a little bit lower. But we do have the puffy top right here. We have a wonderful wide and detailed collar. I love the detail on this collar with all the insertion lace and ruffles and everything. And this one is filled in with our little like neckline fabric and the high collar with the eyelet lace. We have more of that insertion lace all over the skirt. We've got the ruffle at the sleeves, the nice full sleeves. Honestly, it's both perfect and also adorable. This is one of my favorite dresses in all of American Girl, not just Nellie's collection, and I think they did a really, really fantastic job with it. We have one more dress before we get into the Be Forever era, and that is Samantha's velvet dress. So this is Samantha's again, not Nellie's. And this dress has a lot of things that are really, really great about it, honestly, and then a couple things that are not as great. So one of the not as great things is the high waistline. We have the same kind of waistline and honestly almost the same kind of shape that we do on that lawn party dress, and that's just a little too late for this era. However, the rest of the dress is honestly not that far off. Now, I personally have never seen a dress that has this exact collar where we have all of these sort of scallop detail, but I did find this dress, which looks a surprising amount like this dress that we have here, minus that scallop detail, and with the waist I feel like just a little bit lower. I love the beautiful lace around the neckline and at the cuffs. I think that's gorgeous. The use of the ribbon trim both at the waist and around the skirt is fantastic. And we even have all of the scallops outlined with that, which is great. The headband is stupid. It's just stupid. Like, I'm sorry, this is, no. We would have had a nice big hair bow, a little elastic lace headband with a little thing on it. No. And we're gonna see a lot more of those in the Be Forever era, unfortunately. But overall, love this dress. Color is gorgeous. Fabric is a beautiful velvet feel. Just a very, very nice dress overall. All right, folks, we have reached the Be Forever era. So first off, I'm just gonna show you, this is Samantha's new meat dress. It's the dress that she's currently still being sold in for some reason. And it is the dress that came out when they did the Be Forever redesign. And it's awful. There is not a single historical detail about this dress that is accurate in any way. So we're gonna pretend that that did not happen, and we're gonna move on with the rest of her Be Forever collection, most of which at least is slightly better. Now, obviously there are other outfits in Samantha's collection that I have not touched on for one reason or another. For the most part, it's because I don't like them. Like, oh, okay. Shield your eyes. but I'm going to show you her bridesmaid's dress. I believe this was in conjunction with the movie. This is the bridesmaid's dress. This is actually possibly worse than the Be Forever dress because it tried and failed. That one at least didn't try. Yeah, no, we don't need to see that anymore. That's awful. Other things from Samantha's collection that I don't have, it's because of price. Like, I would have loved to have and show you her original bicycling outfit, but unfortunately that outfit goes for upwards of $300. So I don't own it. Oh well. There's also a couple of jacket type outfits that I don't own, which I will talk about more when we get to the coats in just a couple minutes. But first up in her Be Forever collection that I have is her holiday outfit. And I actually really like this outfit. Frankly, I think it's probably more accurate than her original Christmas dress for a variety of reasons. So for one thing, we have our nice, just slightly dropped waist, the fullness in front, beautiful lace neckline here in that yoke shape with the high collar, lovely trim use in this dress as well. I mean, we have the lace, but then we also have this thick black trim that's also around the hem. This one has that really popular short skirt. It might be just a hair on the even too short side. This might be a little bit more like a 4-year-old length as opposed to a 9 or 10-year-old length, but it still is something that you see a lot during this era. And the other thing that I love about this outfit are the shoes. I hope that this will come up on camera, but they are velvet shoes with little bows that look exactly like carriage boots, which is fantastic. I mean, it's not something that you probably would have worn in the house, but velvet little carriage boots that look just like that were so popular in this era. And so I love that they gave her little velvet boots with this outfit. But you can see what I mean by just how short this is. She's wearing like Josefina's own pantalettes underneath this, but I've tried to kind of hike them up basically to her crotch because this dress is so short. I mean, even with these high, like thigh-high socks, you can see that the dress barely meets them. So yeah, it should have been just a skosh longer, but I love the plaid. It's a nice taffeta fabric. Overall, it's a very good dress. Unfortunately, it's the last dress that I'm going to show you that is very good until we get at least to the coats, which are slightly better. So the next dress is, in my opinion, the worst dress that I own in the Samantha collection, and that is her frilly frock. Now, Claudie looks fantastic in Samantha's frilly frock, and she should, because Claudie is from the 1920s, as is this dress. This dress has nothing to do with 1904. Absolutely nothing. We have our low neckline. We have a very dropped waist with ruffled tiers below that. It's just not good. Now, on the other hand, I do actually love the boots. You do see boots in this era. I don't know that you would necessarily see them for children, and they would not be metallic pink. But that little cutaway style, like you can find American Duchess boots like that. They are actually quite accurate. It's just the dress itself that is awful for 1904. But again, it's a great 1920s dress. So I mentioned before that I don't have Samantha's original bicycling outfit, but I do actually have her Be Forever outfit. Unfortunately, her original outfit is pretty historically accurate, whereas her Be Forever outfit, I think, doesn't have a lick of historical accuracy about it, but I found it for a really good price, so I bought it anyway. It's a cute outfit, don't get me wrong. It comes with these weird like felt, like literally thick felt spats. I'm not really sure why that is. Cute little bloomer style pants that have a little elastic at the cuff that just barely fit into these spats. A weird like low-necked peasant blouse top that I don't understand, and a little tilted hat and a hair bow. Yeah, there's nothing historically accurate about this, but I guess it's cute. And then next up is the flower picking outfit. I want to love this outfit. Like, I actually do love this outfit. It's just that it's not actually historically accurate. I appreciate that it has a nice high collar. I like the lace detailing. I like the bow and stripe print fabric. I like that it kind of has that slightly drop waist, even though it's fake, like it has a sewn in ribbon that's like part of the waist. She's got weird spectator shoes that are not how they would have done shoes that have fake buttons. It's just that like the wrap detail and the colors, and it just doesn't relate to something that's actually historically accurate, but like you can definitely see where they tried. So I appreciate that, especially in comparison to a lot of the other Be Forever stuff. And it is a cute dress overall. It's just not quite right. And the last Be Forever outfit is this one, which is Samantha's Special Day dress is what it's called. This waist is too dropped. The bow is actually sitting higher than where the waist actually is. It's way dropped. Like, we're talking something that maybe you could get away with this for the 19 teens. I think like this would be a decent dress for Rebecca, and honestly could actually work really well for Claudie as well for a 1920s dress. But we've got a low wide neckline. We do have a little bit of blousiness here, but when you blouse it, it pulls the neckline even lower. I do like the lace detail. I like the little red shoes that it comes with. I like the bow in the back. We've got another stupid headband here, which stupid headbands, elastic not included, are actually nice again for the 19 teens, just not the 19-aughts. So this fails as a Samantha dress. It is a super cute dress and it would work great for Rebecca. But yeah, not as Samantha. Sorry, Be Forever. And actually, I would love to hear your thoughts on whether you would like me to continue this series or not. I had originally intended just to kind of go up to Samantha, but I definitely could go through Rebecca. I don't know so much about going further, A, because I don't have Claudie's collection. I have 2 items in her collection besides her meat. And frankly, that's because the rest of her collection is not historically accurate whatsoever. And then it's just a little bit more challenging to research the 1930s on, I'd say. But if you really, really want it, I could potentially go further. So please do let me know in the comments whether you would like a Rebecca video at the very least, and then also whether you would like me to go further or not. But I now have dolls dressed in their coats, if you hadn't noticed that little switcheroo. So let's talk about coats here for a moment, and then that will be it for this video. So Samantha has a whole wide variety of coats. There are at least 3 coats that I don't own. She has a duster, which is, I think, pretty historically accurate. Actually, dusters were very, very common for riding in automobiles, which is why she has it. And hers seems to be an accurate shape, though I've never seen it in person. She has a coat that is like spot on accurate and is also like $200+ I think usually, which is her bird watching coat. And that is a really, really great one. And then she also has one that actually came out with Be Forever, and I'm not sure of the name of it, but it's actually not bad, and it's one that I would like to get, but it is also one that runs a little bit more outside my budget generally. So it's probably not something I will be adding to the collection, but I don't hate it. But as far as the coats that I do have, we have to, of course, start with Samantha's traditional winter cloak, which is her winter cape with the gaiters and the hat and the muff. And if you've been following my channel for a couple of years, you will know that this is actually the first American Girl cosplay that I made myself. And I love the idea of this. I love the aesthetic of this. I think it looks so, so pretty. It's not for 1904. Like, this would be great for like 1894, maybe even as far as like 1898, something like that. But by the early 1900s, they realized that they wanted sleeves. And so capes and cloaks were out, and they wore jackets instead. They wore coats. And so while I absolutely love the overall aesthetics of this, it's just unfortunately not accurate, which kills me because it's so freaking pretty. So yeah, that's the unfortunate verdict on that one. Great for the 1890s, not so much for the 1900s. Nellie's coat is actually quite a bit better shape-wise. That said, I don't think I've seen any coats from this era that have this sort of like leopard print type fur trim. It would have been a standard color fur trim, really. I mean, leopard is very unusual. Like, that's just not a fur that you would have seen normally in this era. And this like gray snow leopard, yeah, it's just not normal. But the shape of the coat is nice. I like kind of how boxy it is. I like the capelet up top. A lot of coats had capelets. The hat I feel like is not right. I don't feel like they would have had this close fitting type pulled down hat. Maybe in colder climates, I'm not sure, but for like New York, they probably wouldn't have been wearing hats like this. But overall, it is a very cute coat. Love the little faux double-breasted detail. And lastly, the coat that they came out with later, I think this was like the movie tie-in, so I think it was about the same era as Nellie's coat. This one's actually pretty good. Like, again, we have that really boxy silhouette here. We have the nice fur trim collar. This time we have a single color fur, and it's really like kind of plush and fluffy fur as well. I actually love that these are functional frog closures. There are also snaps on this cloak, but like the frogs are functional. You have to do them up. This is definitely a more common hat shape that you would have seen for a winter hat of this era. She's got her little mittens, the fur cuff, and it's a velvet coat overall, and they loved velvet in this era. We've even got like big old box pleats on the sleeves, which is great. Honestly, this is a pretty darn good coat. So yeah, that is everything in Samantha's collection, clothing wise. I do actually have a lot of her like various sets and accessories and furniture and stuff like that because Samantha is my aesthetic. Like Samantha was the doll that I got first. This one right here. This was my first childhood doll from when I was about 9 years old. And I have just always been drawn to Samantha and her world and that sort of like frilly sort of setup. So overall, I definitely have a soft spot for her collection, but unfortunately, as you've seen, it's not entirely historically accurate. We have a few winners, like, oh my gosh, that talent show dress, but we also have a few losers, not even including the Be Forever era. So hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series, definitely go check those out. I will link the playlist right up here. And also let me know if you do want me to continue this series as well. But if you liked this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube at least once a week, usually with sewing vlogs out on Tuesdays, and sometimes additional content like this out on Saturdays, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram, that's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi down in the description below, or you can send me a super thanks or join my YouTube channel memberships right here on YouTube for early access to videos. I'd also like to give a humongous thank you to all of my fantastic patrons. I seriously could not do this all without you guys, and especially a huge thank you and shout out to my patrons at the Romantic, Victorian, and Edwardian level tiers, who are Jean, Janelle, Audra, Emily, Kim, Tiffany, Liz, Kimberly, Nurse Anita, and Chaos Chan. Thank you all so much, and thank you all for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing!